The scan is complete. The radiologist read it. The report is neatly filed in the patient's chart. And somehow, the practice still isn't paid. This lack of payment doesn't happen because the clinical care was flawed, or because the payer has a legitimate medical dispute regarding the procedure. Revenue vanishes quietly because somewhere between the scanner and the final claim, a modifier was applied incorrectly, a billing code mismatched the documentation, or a prior authorization didn't match. This chart compares claim denial rates across medical specialties. While general medical practices typically deal with a 5 to 8% denial rate, radiology frequently spikes to a burden of 15 or 20%. For a standard imaging practice generating $3 million annually, that failure rate translates to roughly $450,000 a year in claims that require costly rework, lengthy appeals, or simply disappear as uncollected revenue. A 20% denial rate is damaging on its own, but it's actually just one piece of a compounding mathematical equation working against imaging centers. Look at this declining step chart mapping Medicare reimbursements. Over the last decade, Medicare reimbursements dropped approximately 20% for radiology. Now, add another pressure point. Roughly 90% of imaging procedures require prior authorization before a patient is even seen. Navigating those administrative holds consumes more than 13 hours of physician time every single week, time spent fighting for approvals instead of analyzing patient scans. Then comes the specialized coding complexity. In radiology, billers often have to separate the technical component of a scan from the professional reading using specific markers, like modifier 26 and TC. Errors involving just those two modifiers account for 30 to 40% of all radiology denials. When base reimbursements shrink by a fifth and preventable coding mistakes drain an additional 15% of the remaining revenue, maintaining a healthy margin shifts from an administrative annoyance to a mathematical impossibility. The standard response to these mounting pressures is usually to throw more people at the problem, attempting to build out larger in-house billing departments. But when you factor in salary, benefits, payroll taxes, and training overhead, the fully loaded cost to hire a single in-house coder lands between $55,000 and $75,000 a year. That investment doesn't yield immediate returns. A typical generalist biller requires at least a 60-day onboarding period before they can confidently navigate the specialty-specific bundling rules that radiology demands. Even after they were trained, generalist coders placed into these high-complexity workflows routinely experience burnout. They leave, and the practice absorbs heavy recruitment and retraining costs all over again. Trying to solve highly specialized bundling and modifier challenges with expensive, high-turnover generalist staff creates a false economy. It drains capital without solving the underlying precision problem. This mathematical reality is why a growing number of mid-sized imaging centers are abandoning the in-house generalist model entirely, shifting instead to dedicated, credentialed coding experts. Here is the financial counter-equation. Staffingly provides dedicated certified coders for $399 per week, which reduces the annual cost per seat to approximately $20,000. Crucially, these specialists are not a shared anonymous pool of contractors. They are dedicated team members who work directly inside your practice's native electronic medical record system every day, learning your specific protocols and unique payer mix. They also bring a technological multiplier. The workflow is augmented by artificial intelligence designed specifically to catch modifier mismatches and diagnosis code misalignments. The AI runs automated pre-submission audits to flag high-risk claims before they ever leave the queue. This allows the human specialists to focus their expertise solely on the complex interventions that require medical reasoning. Combining human specialty credentialing with automated pre-auditing creates a low-friction pipeline, permanently lowering the unit cost of processing every individual radiology claim. The immediate, measurable outcome of this optimized pipeline is accuracy. Systemic coding error rates consistently drop to below 1% across the workflow. Let's look at the impact on revenue capture. Practices utilizing this model push their clean claim rates from an industry average of 78% up to 90 to 95%, and the transition happens quickly. A practice achieves full operational status, including complete EMR access and specific protocol training, in exactly 14 days. There is no compromise on security. The infrastructure operates on Day 1 HIPAA, SOC 2 Type 2, and HITRS-aligned protocols, with encrypted access and annual audits. Stabilizing your clean claim rate is a mathematical necessity for survival. Visit Staffingly to initialize your 14-day risk-free pilot and stop the revenue drain today.